going to be going through 3 rounds of Paper Standard action. Akira, how you feeling right now?
Man, I'm feeling great. Casted Pioneer a couple days ago, back for Standard.
Cards inside of it, but the namesake card is the new Ketramose.
So yeah, this is a new kind of Orzhov midrange deck that built around Ketramose. So you see some sideboard card in the main deck here, for example, Ghost Vacuum.
Yeah, this Ghost Vacuum, it's going to be combining with Ketramose in and of itself, basically to turn Ketramose into drawing a card engine. So the Ghost Vacuum, like you said, mostly a sideboard card, but main deck here for Casey in order to just wind up getting enough things into exile. We've seen this out of like a lot of the crimes-related lists as well.
Yeah, and so we starting to see some of the older like black mid-range card coming back into the meta a little bit with this deck. Fairy Dream Thief and I believe I don't remember that. What's that? Skitter, something.
Oh, Lord Skitter.
Yeah, Lord.
The one
Skitter,
that exiles. Yeah. It's the best graveyard trespasser we have in the format right now.
Very good impression of graveyard trespasser actually. So here's Ketramose. Immediately exile the Lord Skitter to draw a card and put 1 more card into exile. So 6 more before it can attack, or 6 more.
I think it's 7 because we also have the end of turn Ghost Vacuuming the planes away from Owen's graveyard there.
Oh, so 5 more.
Yeah, it's just the Lord Skitter's the one that the Ghost Vacuum can actually reanimate or pop out there Ghostbuster style. So and it looks like we are going to wind up having Casey just putting a die over there to represent how many cards in total are in exile for us. That's a good guy there.
Yeah, and this is kind of a perfect start for Casey. Like turn 2 Ghost Vacuum into a turn 3 Ketramose is kind of perfect. So it's getting the engine started here.
Well, not quite literally.
Yeah.
You gotta be careful how you say things now. With Aether Drift and everything, we're actually starting our engines. We have the universes beyond, so you can't just say Lara Croft Tomb Raider when you're exploring or something that.
Yeah, but it's getting our metaphorical engine.
But yeah, Ketramose does need 7 cards in exile in total just to be able to attack or block. But for now, it's just going to be doing its best sort of Argyl's Bloodfast impression. So whenever a card gets in exile from a graveyard during your turn, which is why we're seeing Casey activate this Ghost Vacuum on their own turn here, you're going to be able to draw a card and lose a life, which will now even up the life totals at 18 as the swing from the Fairy Dream Thief comes across at Alwyn.
Yeah, and another thing about this Ketramose card is you kind of have to put stuff into the yard. So as you can see from Casey's side, Fairy Dream Thief come in, surveil for 1, a lot of surveil land as well. So just trying to keep the graveyard stocked so he can keep eating it.
Meanwhile, on Alwyn's side, Domain just kind of doing the control style thing here. Has basically Bant-colored mana available to himself. No plays being made quite yet, as this is an Orzhov matchup with exposed mana, so we could assume that there's going to be some sort of shenanigans coming in. Like this, like the Emperor here.
So this is the new Emperor. Using Ketramose to convoke out the, I believe, something Emperor. But this thing have double strike, I believe.
Yeah, I'm just failing to spell Emperor correctly, so unfortunately it's not popping up. It's not popping up for us. But this is, like you said, I think it's a 3/4 double strike with Convoke.
Yeah, Flash and Convoke. So here's a Bailmark. This is a good way to stock up the graveyard to keep eating it from for the Ghost Vacuum here.
And just a massive board on Casey's side here, too. Not usually thinking, like, with the style of Orzhov deck. We saw, like, Ben S. Playing, like, the Orzhov Pixie-style deck. It was more of a control style, but Casey's got a lot of stuff on their side of the battlefield here. Although, the Ketramose can't quite attack just yet. We are going to wind up having, I believe this goes up to 4 exile cards now, so a little more than halfway there. But still, a double-striking Emperor, just the Dream Thief over there, that's representative of at least 7 damage on their side.
Oh, I believe that card is called the Wandering Rescuer.
Oh, that's why we can't find it.
She's no longer the Emperor of Kamigawa because she's not on Kamigawa.
There
the Wandering Rescuer. Yeah, the Wandering Rescuer.
Dude, this normal art is also pretty badass.
Yeah, that card is just pretty. I love the look of the card.
So other tapped creatures you control have hexproof, so that's going to be able to make other things protected, as hence the rescuer part here, but it doesn't protect the wandering rescuer in and of itself, so it is just going to wind up eating a get lost here, so Alwyn's just going to wind up taking 1 damage altogether from this attack, but there's an Overlord of the Baelmerk that slams down from Casey's side. Like you said, you want to fill up the graveyard, Overlord's perfect for that.
And with this ghost vacuum, you can basically just start like stocking up. Oh, ooh,
That's a nice one.
Urborg scavenger here, gonna eat the Urborg scavenger. Just gonna eat the wandering rescuer out of the graveyard. So I believe get a +1/+1 counter and now gain double strike.
Yeah, the first 3/4 double striker didn't work, so now we have a 3/3 double striker that's going to hit the battlefield here. Most importantly, it exiles the Wandering Rescuer, so that's another card counting towards Ketramose. We've had the Overlord of the Baelmerk that's going to be on impending and ticking down. Did we actually mill with the Overlord?
Yeah, we mill. I think 4 cards. Yeah, and then picked up the Urborg scavenger from the.
Okay, they're currently sideways on Casey's side, so I thought that they were all exiled for some reason.
Yeah, so Casey put his graveyard sideways and his exile card straight up, so kind of the reverse of what people usually do.
I mean, I guess it's more relevant for this matchup here, knowing what's in exile and what isn't with Ketramose available.
Yeah.
Alwyn just making sure the board state is kept in check, as there is an Up the Beanstalk that hits the side for the Domain deck. This is the engine that Alwyn's going to want to see on his side here. Another Verge hits the battlefield, and this could be Overlord of the Hauntwoods just to trigger drawing a card, but that would leave Alwyn pretty exposed to an all-out attack with this double striker that can then trigger again on attacks.
Yeah, I think Alwyn kind of priced into holding up something like Leyline Binding or another Get Lost here. He just doesn't want to just like die to this about to be 4/4 double strike.
Alwyn just confirming that you need 7 cards in exile with Ketramose in order for it to be able to attack. Although all that's going to take is a Ghost Vacuum activation and something hitting the exile zone from Casey's side. Lord Skitter hits the battlefield, so if Casey's able to exile something from his graveyard and get something off of Alwyn's, that's going to work.
I believe Lord Skitter need to attack to exile something. Yeah, so it enter reference, so it does from the opponent's graveyard. So the Get Lost should be exiled, and now there's 7 cards in grave.
Yeah.
So now the Ketramose can attack.
All right, so
this is like big trouble here.
Yeah, Alwyn is going to be in big trouble here. It looks like Casey did have to take 1 off of one of their own mana in order to cast this.
It can block. That's the.
Not sure why he took 1. I think they're just trying to keep track of
the tokens. Unfortunately, I don't think we have the rat tokens over there for Lord Skitter, so they're just trying to figure out what token they're going to use to represent the rat.
Yeah. Also, I don't know why Casey lost a life. I don't think. I mean,
from drawing a card off of Ketramose.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So entering combat.
I forgot there's a cost to that.
Yep, you still got to pay 1 life. It's greatness at any cost, Akira. Not greatness at no cost.
I wonder if we see a Rise N on the Ketramose here. So exile 1, trigger. So if you have a removal spell, it's kind of like damn if you do, damn if you don't. Because like if you hit the Ketramose, taking 8 to the face.
Yeah.
But if you hit the Scavenger, then he keeps the Ketramose. And
for now.
Yeah, so here's the Rise End. Breakout common from Aether Drift.
Yeah, this Rise End just only costing 2 because it will wind up targeting a tapped creature on Casey's side. But now we just kind of have to determine what it is that we're going to wind up hitting. Because like you said, you're facing down 8 damage from the Urborg Scavengers because it will get a +1/+1 counter regardless of what it exiles. It just won't get any keywords if it's not a creature with keywords. But then, like you said, having that Ketramose available to continue having that card draw engine from Casey's side is going to be very difficult to deal with. And yeah, it looks like Alwyn right here just going to be going off of Rides ending the Ketramose, triggers the Beanstalk that draws a card. Ketramose itself gets exiled, that draws a card. Oh, this cards are all over the place.
Yeah, and Alwyn's kind of banking on having a sweeper for the next turn when he untaps, just so he doesn't die to this double striking monster here.
Yeah, I mean, the downside is that something like a temporary lockdown doesn't hit Lord Skitter, doesn't hit the Urborg Scavengers. Something like a Sunfall cleans up a lot of things on Casey's side besides the impending Overlord, which, you still have 3 turns to worry about that one.
Yeah, we not quite worried about that one yet. But here's a Fairy Dream Thief.
Put it in the graveyard.
Oh, puts an
Put another
Urborg Scavengers in the graveyard.
Doesn't really have anything in the graveyard to eat up, so that just winds up in the graveyard. Is that Season of the Burrow?
Oh, that might be. I have seen some Season of the Burrow Season of the Burrow with Ketramose, and I kind of
so
saw this
sweet,
a little bit. Oh, sorry, not Season of the Burrow. Oh, yeah, Season of the Burrow, where you're able to exile some things and then draw some cards with it, and then that triggers Ketramose. You could draw more cards because you're exiling things on your own turn.
For Ketramose, it has to be exiled from the graveyard for you to draw
okay.
a card, yeah. But just putting cards into exile is generally good, and just this can reanimate like any 3 drops. Casey wind up getting put into the graveyard here,
Like another Ketramose.
like another one.
All right, so Alwyn hard-pressed to find an answer this turn, or at least something to stem the bleeding like a blocker. It looks like it might be Overlord of the
No,
Mist.
this is Day of Judgment.
All
Yeah.
right, there's a
So-
board wipe.
So my thought from last turn was spot on there. Alwyn, just accept that you're gonna take a bunch of damage. Clean up the Ketramose with the clean exile spell. Follow up with a sweeper, and kind of back to parity a little bit.
It's just doing, the normal control thing of board wiping, holding up mana for a removal spell, and doing some good threat assessment from the side of Alwyn's Domain deck. Now Casey's going to untap with a ton of mana, a couple of cards in hand, and there's still that Ghost Vacuum with the Lord Skitter underneath that at some point in time could just, explode into a Lord Skitter if we need to.
So another scavenger, a third one after we bin the one from the top of the deck.
I will.
That's got a whole host of creatures in the graveyard that it can eat up right now, too. So it's just going to wind up getting flying off of this Fairy Dream Thief.
Yep.
And the
So
+1/+1 counter.
And
it's the 3/3 with flying. That's not too bad.
Next turn will be a 4/4, and as long as there's nothing else that winds up hitting the graveyard, it'll probably just stay a 3/3 flyer. I don't think Lord Skitter has anything that will wind up giving it anything beneficial.
And looking at this domain deck, there's not quite domain in play. I think that's only 3 type.
I think there's 4, because we have blue-white down there.
No,
I mean,
that's
like
a
in
verse, yeah.
land types in general. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we're only on 3. Oh,
Oh,
never mind.
never mind.
Overlord of the Hauntwoods hits the battlefield, and that is going to get domain in and of itself by creating an everywhere land token.
So now Leyline Binding is a lot more castable for Alwyn.
Basically off of anything. Well, yeah, there's a blue-white, black-white, and a green-white. So off of any of those lands.
You can also cast it off of everything.
Yeah, everything is tapped right now. Oh, we're gonna
Island? That's a pretty island.
the one basic. That's a Bloomborough island, isn't it?
No, I think that's one of the new Aether Drift Island.
Is it? Oh, look at that.
One of the driving one, I believe.
Can't see, but my head is completely turned sideways now to try to look at it as if I could zoom in by tilting my head. But I'll want 4 mana available and some decisions to make right now. Looks like a couple of removal spells in hand. Just debating between maybe trying to throw something out like an Overlord of the Mist more, have a couple of blockers, or instead just trying to have something that can remove this Urborg Scavengers entirely.
So here's another cool thing about Fairy Dream Thief in this deck. It can just exile itself to draw a card.
And that's exactly what happens here for Casey.
Owen kind of stabilizing a little bit here. That's a lot with a lot of mana open. We might be able to see another Get Lost, maybe another Rise End.
Sounds good.
I think we saw a Ride's End in Alwyn's hand as well, so we'll see if this is enough to pull the trigger. Looks like instead just going to exile the Day of Judgment from Alwyn's side, put a +1/+1 counter on this Urborg Scavengers, and Alwyn does not want to lose 50% of their health. Leyline Bind is going to hit the battlefield and attempt to target this Urborg Scavenger.
Yeah, trigger up the Beanstalk, draw a card. It's kind of disgusting that Domain just get to play removal that cantrips. Now even with Rise End, it's a 5 mana spell, so you have up the Beanstalk and you cast it for 2 mana and still draw a card.
Hey, yo.
Oh!
Oh,
A
what is
sire, 7 deaths.
Your turn.
that? Oh, that's just another target for Over Scavenger.
Actual
But
fuck,
just hardcast it.
So
Seven
that's
men.
pretty troll right there. But yeah, look at this. First strike, vigilance, menace, trample, reach, lifelink, and ward. Base 7 life. So Alwyn's not even really going to be able to target that with a Ride's End unless he wants to be at 1 life.
Yeah, just a 7/7 with 7 keywords.
That's pretty crazy. But yeah, like you said, a good follow-up for Urborg Scavengers to get away. 7 mana to just have this giant thing is pretty solid. I don't really think it has any Ketramose synergies, but who cares at this point? You got a 7/7 for 7 that's going to wind up swinging in for tons of damage.
And the always on 8. So if you want to target this thing with any spot removal, that's
Could be at
put it
1.
into 1.
1 is not dead, though.
One is not death. As a control player, I would know.
I don't know if there's any main deck Bezas in Alwyn's list too, but like that would be something where you could potentially gain some life back off of that. You're not really going to be able to get a bunch of blockers or anything because you're not going to have any creatures on your opponent's side if you could like board wipe and then Beza. But that might be something that's on Alwyn's mind here. Again, Overlord of the Hauntwoods, that's not going to do anything here. Overlord of the Mistmoors will give you 2 blockers, but there's Trample available for the Sire, and that's still not going to be enough to kill it.
So we do see a Zur in hand for Alwyn. Do we can have first strike too? This thing
Yeah.
just have everything.
I'm going to bring it back up so people realize exactly what we're dealing with here. There's so much text on this card. 7 things to be exact.
Is there any like funky? Why is the line breaks like this? I heard there's some like funky like thing to do with 7 from the line break, but I don't remember what it was.
All I know is that it has 7 keywords on it. And then ward pay 7 life is a 7th keyword that has a 7 inside of it as well. You know, they could do this for their in-universe cards, but the spoiler for Doc Ock costs 7 mana. It's an 8/8 for 7 mana. My immersion's
unbelievable.
broken already.
That's unbelievable. I can't believe they did that.
We have a second Overlord of the Hauntwoods that has hit the table, though. That triggers out the Beanstalk. Drew Alwyn a card. Still a lot of mana available. Now Alwyn has to figure out, are we going to play that Zur, animate, and try to gain some life? There's the Zur.
Pass.
So we're not going to wind up animating the Overlord of the Hauntwoods that can just swing in and get blocked because it won't gain any life with first strike.
Yep.
But the thing is, anything that swings in or blocks is not going to gain life because of first strike.
Yeah, I think.
But at least they can block.
What is that?
Well, that's another Ketramose.
Oh, that's the other art of Ketramose.
Yeah, I'll bring that one up for you while we figure out what Casey's going to be doing with this 4/4 that is available. Oh, there's that Season of the Burrow.
Exile Zur. And we exile. I think we exile Leyline Binding. Yeah.
And
Uh-oh.
So
Oh, you can
now
exile
what we
two-
can do is we
3 mana
can
already.
respawn.
you could do any of these combinations up to 5.
We can
cards.
respawn
So
by
I
activating
basically I could
Zur.
do this one and this one.
Turn
or
Leyline
this one,
Binding
this
into
one,
a
this one.
creature.
Make it hexproof?
Make it hexproof. So only Zur get exile.
Fair enough.
So
Yep. And then we'll just have a 6/6 that can block.
and create a
It can't block. It's a menace.
Oh yeah, there's not enough there to block with. Yeah, so Alwyn really in the tank about this one. Has the mana available to animate, but we'll see if that's what the plan is going to be.
Yeah, I think we have to animate and then let Zur get exile so we don't lose Leyline Binding as well.
This one will gain hexproof.
Yeah.
So I believe you have
It's
multiple targets, right?
yeah.
Yeah, so it lose the
Okay.
target. If
So
the
I have a
enchantment gain
question,
hexproof.
we might ask for Judge. Do I still draw the card for the one that got hexproof and couldn't be exiled, or not?
I don't believe so because I believe the
That is a very good question because Season of the Burrow
Wait,
says
wait, wait,
exile
wait.
target non-land
Judge,
permanent,
just for,
period.
you
Its
know.
controller draws a card.
Judge!
So since the period is there, I believe that the card draw won't happen because the exile has not been achieved.
So the first clause has to
So we
resolve
have this circumstance
for the
where,
second clause. No,
he casts a
I
Season
think
of the
because
Burrow,
of the period, he still draw the card.
and
right?
once his targets 2 were targeting my Sur, and my
Well, we're about to
Leyline
find
exile,
out.
I in
Because
response
there is a little bit of
activated
interesting
Leyline.
wording around, like when things say then draw a card,
What I'm
Yeah.
wondering
or
is
when
if I
this
still get
resolve,
another
like when
card
this
for the Leyline,
happens,
or
or
is
something
not
like
going to
that.
void,
But this is just
because I don't
period.
need to be
Its
exiled.
controller draws a card.
So
casting Seasons of Burrow. You respond by animating Leyline Binding.
Yep.
So,
Gains hexproof.
yeah, so getting hexproof.
I believe
Yeah.
it's still gonna not exile the lane line binding, but I don't know if he's draw the card.
I don't think he draws the card. I could be wrong. I am not a judge. I'm not even a level 0. I just like to talk a
I
lot.
would think like normally,
Looks like we're gonna have
but
a
because there's
we're gonna have to Google up
Like,
some
it's
stuff.
point and
from,
apart, you know, it's like
Judge
point-
Kyle here.
It's. I think
I'm
it's
looking at
kinda like
Casey's
when you
hand as
play a
well
spell,
while we're
right?
figuring out this
Says
judge call here. There's a temporary lockdown in the main deck.
but then the spell is like
they
And the
drop
temporary
one, right,
lockdown
but then
only
you
really
have
hits
that
the up the
creature.
beanstalk here
It-
from
it
the
has to
domain deck, so that's probably going to be a quick card to sideboard out here.
because this one
But the
still
thing
has
is,
targets.
temporary lockdown is a
So that's
quick
what got me,
way
because
to
the spell's
just
still
put a
gonna
bunch of
resolve,
card,
like, my
your
sword
own
is,
card into that card.
long.
I guess you can exile your Ghost Vacuum, you can exile your Fairy Dream Thief, but then the rest of the cards we've seen so far have been 3 or more.
Yeah, but you still do need to hedge against aggro.
Oh yeah, I'm
Yeah.
saying it's a good card to have in the main deck in general. I'm just saying in this matchup specifically, even that if Alwyn is able to bounce back, or if Casey able to close it out here with this 7/7/7 keyword menace, that may be something that we just see coming out very easily in game
Yeah,
number
I
2.
think it's pretty straightforward. Just take it out.
So yeah, I chose twice
bring
that,
in
and then once the
more enchantment hate, probably
So-
Ran if you got any
no rabbit,
in the
but-
deck.
sword will be exile.
So
This can block.
Zorigat Exile.
By the way,
That
it's a rabbit. Yeah.
That rabbit can block. Yeah.
Exile.
I'll draw
Trigger
a card for
Ketramose, lose a life, draw a card.
It looks like the outcome of that was yes, indeed. Since there is no targeting happening, or the targeting is fizzling, there's only one card being drawn here by Alwyn. Judges in chat, you can let us know if that's correct or not. But that does mean that now there is a 6/6 in the way of anything that Casey wants to do. However, there is only one blocker available for this 7/7 Menace Destroyer. Oh yeah, we have these map tokens too. That was almost just GG.
Almost death for Alwyn. But now with Zur off the table, Leyline Binding doesn't gain life anymore.
That's true. Leyline Binding will not be gaining any life. I mean, we do have an indestructible Ketramose on the other side as well that could just block it.
Yeah.
So gaining 6 life through an attack is desperation at this point. And right now, I mean, like Sunfall would be pretty good. There's
Sunfall would be
also
great
an
here.
Overlord of the Baelmerk that just came off impending right now too. So yeah, Alwyn's got to work some magic here.
If you do Sunfall here, you giving Casey back his Herbor Scavenger, but I think, and you're kind of tapping yourself out a little bit. You still have about 4 mana to work with if you do Sunfall.
But I mean, you either need to have like Day of Judgment and follow-up spell for Ketramose to get rid of Ketramose, or you need to have Sunfall and follow-up spell for the Urborg Scavengers you're giving back.
Yeah, so kind of in a tough spot. Zur again.
Okay, so now this 6/6 does have lifelink, so we can swing in, buffer our life total a little bit, but this is still a lethal attack from the side of Casey.
We can make both of our green Overlord of the Hauntwoods into creatures.
These
We
are
send
Alright.
everything in to gain 16?
16 life, all right, but on the backswing here, Casey has 7 plus 4 is 11 plus 5 is 16.
So, and plus 1 from the rabbit.
Yeah,
But the rabbit can be blocked by Zur, or any. Most of these.
most of these can be blocked by Zur.
so-
The Overlord specifically can be blocked by Zur, and that's going to be the most. So I think this is just barely keeping Alwyn alive here. Ketramose itself does wind up having Menace too. So it looks like a swing in for 11 damage and a gaining of 15 life.
Oh yeah, of course. Like one comes.
So-
Okay, sounds good.
Life
14
total just
14 life?
make a flip here. Oh, blocking. So double blocking one of the Overlord with Trust Ketramose and the rabbit. And then take the rest. So took a total of 11 and
Oh,
gained
no.
4 from Ketramose. And Owen gained 15.
This attack shouldn't even really be that possible now, because Casey, with all these keywords on the Sire 7 deaths, has missed a very key one here.
Oh, Vigilant. That thing shouldn't have been tapped.
It should not have been tapped. Cyberkyre called that in chat. But that tapping of the Overlord basically gave Alwyn an
free
or
attack.
the Sire gave Alwyn a free attack here.
I mean, he's not in like the best of spot, to be fair, but that does give Alwyn like some kind of an out to this.
Oh, he's doing it again.
Sounds good.
All right, so we have menace from 2 of these things. We still have a map that we decided not to crack, so 11 damage is going to happen regardless.
Sounds good.
But now Alwyn can kind of have a life buffer to if you want to Ryzen or Leyline Binding this Sire of 7 Death.
Okay, so the only one that I can block is here, right? Because the other one's got
So,
menace.
or we can just do something to this Overlord. So then we're only taking 11, and then on the crackback, I mean, Casey's going to gain 11, so we go up to 22.
Yeah.
So we're going to end up having, and there's also an exile from graveyard. There's something coming out of the graveyard off of the Overlord trigger, so that's going to put Casey down to 10. So Casey will go to 21 with this attack, pending
Importantly,
no exiles.
Casey picked up a shoulder it off of the Overlord trigger, so this up to Beanstalk might be a little bit of a problem.
It could be, yeah, because that means that any sort of removal spells that Alwyn is going to cast, if they are not Day of Judgment, those are going to be ones that will trigger the Up the Beanstalk and cause some damage being dealt there. But Alwyn really thinking about, looks like a Leyline Binding coming down. Is it going to hit Ketramose, or is it going to wind up hitting the Sire that is still being tapped?
That's a leyline binding.
I think it might have to be Sire of 7 Death. Because if you take the Sire, next turn you can animate the Leyline Binding
Target, that's 7.
and attack in for 12 plus 5, 17.
Soul thing.
And then that would prevent Casey from gaining 7 off of the Sire 7 Death.
6 out of 7, I
But
go to.
how much damage are we taking from this?
Right now, there is 11 menace damage and then 5 from the Overlord that can still be blocked by the Zur. So,
Yeah, but if we block with the Zur, then we don't have the turn Leyline Binding into a creature play to gain life. And we don't have enough mana to do both Leyline Binding
I'll
and
do here.
Zur
I'll pay
animate.
paying 7.
9.
Down to 9.
Resolve. And
That
then
is
I'll block you.
exactly thought. So we do have to throw the Zur into the Overlord here.
Yep.
Take the 4.
This does
Yeah, no,
not
no,
die.
no.
Gain 4 for Casey.
I'll play.
Let's say, but Casey has a follow-up Shieldred, we know, so there's at least one blocker. There is 11 damage that Alwyn has face up on the table, potentially more if there's another Zur in hand, but ooh, deadly cover-up!
Collect evidence.
Oh, this is bad.
So I'm
This makes targeting that
5.
makes targeting not Ketramose extremely punished, and it's going to wind up getting rid of the Leyline Binding that is a creature, giving us our Urberg Scavenger back.
And this put the Sire of 7 Death into the yard, so we could just eat it with the Overlord Scavenger.
Wait, did he mill one over?
Your creatures die.
Oh no, never
Yeah,
mind.
because the
It's
Sire
it's
is under
the-
the Leyline Binding that is not a creature.
This one
Never
will
mind.
be destroyed.
But this one, collecting evidence 6 is going to be no issue for this deck here, especially with all the mills that come out from the Overlord. It will destroy all creatures, and then because of the evidence being collected, we're going to get a surgical extraction effect on
Leyline Binding.
Leyline Binding. We see Alwyn's hand now. Overlord Hauntwoods, Overlord Mistmoors, and Temporary Lockdown. So no way to get rid of this Ketramose, which can potentially just be face-up lethal.
Oh, I just find out something that you'll like, Tom.
What did I like?
He have one of each printing of Overlord the Hauntwood.
That's extremely good. I love that.
There's a normal Hauntwoods, a normal foil Hauntwoods,
I draw another
and there's a
card.
showcase Hauntwood.
It's only from the battlefield or graveyard.
Yeah, I exiled
So
Was there
I
other
believe we
players?
just take every copy of Leyline Binding.
Go for it.
Casey gets a Ketramose trigger off of exiling the Leyline Binding that was a creature from the graveyard in order to get your extraction effect down. But yeah, with this face-up hand from Alwyn, there's no way to deal. Well, I mean, right now.
In the round, this is match number 1. Okay.
Wait, that's time in the round? That seems really fast. Holy moly.
This match has been quite back and forth. A lot of Owen is on the back foot quite a lot, but
I draw
been quite a little bit of back and forth. A lot of life gain between them.
But so what I'm thinking of here is we have the Shieldred, which is then going to put Alwyn down to 3 on his turn. That is face up lethal from the Ketramose, but there's an Overlord of the Mistmoors that can provide us 2 blockers, 3 if we wind up playing the Overlord for all of its mana. But then we are facing down 3 attackers, one of which just has to connect in order to kill Alwyn.
We do get 3 blockers if we do play the white Mistmoor as a creature, but then that put us to 1 because up the Beanstalk forces us to draw a card.
Yeah.
And then Casey can just pass back to Alwyn, and he dies with up the Beanstalk with his draw for turn. So if there's no removal for Shieldred, Alwyn's just dead. He can't really cast anything in his hand.
Well, we know that there's no removal face up for Alwyn because we were looking at his hand earlier thanks to the deadly cover-up, but doesn't mean that he couldn't have drawn something or still has 1 draw available with the life lost from the Shieldred for this up the Beanstalk.
Yeah, but the draw... the draw can't be Leyline Binding because Leyline Binding is already...
It looked like more. It looked like more.
Exile.
It looked like more.
Yeah, that's 7.
Okay, cool.
I wasn't paying attention.
No worries, bro. There's been so many card draws. Okay.
And so there's so many card draws going on here from Alwyn. Really debating what he needs to do here.
Essentially have access to 2 spells. One spell if it's not a 5... If it's a 5 CMC or more spells.
Okay, that was not a time in round announcement, by the way, for everybody. It was a 20 minutes left in round announcement. We just heard incorrectly. But Zur off the top is very powerful here because now we're going to be able to animate our Leyline Binding. It doesn't draw us a card. But, ooh, the problem is now is, do we block with the Shieldred and then Death Touch kills the Leyline?
Yeah, I think we just killed the Leyline and get back the Sire.
The Sire of kill you face up?
Yeah,
Oh, no.
The Sire that Alwyn spent 7 life to put under that Leyline Binding.
All right, so Casey valuing this Shieldred a lot more because I guess for Alwyn, if he then impends an Overlord after this, he's going to wind up taking a bunch of damage.
Yeah, I think this put Alwyn in an awkward place where this up the Beanstalk is just going to slowly kill them.
All right, so we're impending an Overlord of the Hauntwoods. We lose 2 life off the Shieldred trigger. We get ourselves an Everywhere token. We forget our impending counters. There we go. And I guess at this point, what we're planning on doing is animating the Overlord and blocking the Scavengers so long as it doesn't gain Flying, Menace, or anything else.
We can just block Shieldred too.
If Shieldred
If
attacks.
Casey attacked with the Shieldred.
But I was gonna say, if we like surveil a flying creature here and attack with the Urborg Scavengers, you're dead.
Ketramose.
Oh, sorry, the Zur can block flying.
Yeah, Zur can block flying, so we're not quite dead. Lay down arms.
I guess we'll
Yeah.
Do we play enough planes in this deck?
toss it.
No, there's Shadowy Backstreet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the battlefield right now.
Oh, that's quite a lot for a 2-color deck.
That would exile one of the Overlords. But here we go, swinging in with everybody. Team comes in. We have the opportunity to trade this Shieldred for an Overlord of the Hauntwoods.
So right now he has one.
Flying.
Flying.
Okay, so there was a flying creature in the graveyard. So that is 4, 8, 5, 9 damage because the Ketramose got a counter from the map. So now we're forced to block with Zur.
Blockers. Okay. So he's a 4.
No, we're gaining 5 from the Hauntwoods.
So we'd be at 1 if we don't block with Zur.
Yeah, so the Scavenger's a 4/4,
5. Yeah.
or is it a 3/3?
It's a 4/4, has 2 counters on it, and it should be a 2/2.
But I gain 5 life from this one.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. So gain 5.
Now.
Casey show another Shieldred in hand, expecting Alwyn to just die, but forgot that he gains 5 life from the
Life neutral.
the block. So up to 10 for Alwyn. Another Shieldred for Casey.
Yeah, Shieldred number 2 winds up hitting down. That is not lethal quite yet.
Oh, up to 10 for Casey because of the lifelink from Ketramose.
Wait, how did the Scavenger die?
Zur have that touch, right? Did he have a way to give Zur that
Stop,
touch?
can you mill yourself?
How
Is
does
that a
this scavenger
possibility? Has it happened to you?
I'm so confused.
Yeah, that was just a 1/4 Zur with flying. Should not have died. Enchantment creatures you control have Death Touch, Lifelink, and Hexproof. Zur is not an enchantment.
Exiles, Zur,
Yeah, how did the guy die? Or did we just?
draw a
I
card.
don't know, but looks like we are ghost vacuuming away the Zur, seeing if we're going to. Nope, not going to read it. And we wound up having a Shield Rid.
Oh, the show. Okay, fine.
Yeah,
So we lined
the
up losing
replacement
2.
Shieldred.
Looks like Casey gained a life as well.
Yo, gain
And
a
then
life
we had an
also.
Overlord of the Overlord of the Baelmer as well. So
Instant
again,
way to draw.
basically presenting lethal and for Alwyn to have to try to deal with right now, and drawing any number of cards is going to be extremely painful. The tapped Leyline Binding should be untapped, as that is still a creature.
Grip must be nice.
And it put us in an awkward position where we want to cast a sweeper.
Sunfall?
Okay, there's the sweeper that we wanted to cast.
Yeah, so that's going to put Alwyn down to 3.
Not a creature anymore.
Wait, why is it no longer a
That
creature?
should be a creature.
It's still a creature.
It's tapped. It's tapped.
It's a creature permanently.
And that's going to get back to Sire.
That's gonna give back the sire that we spent
I mean, I
so
did
much
it already,
resources
nothing
trying
that
to
I
deal
can
with.
do.
I mean, I think either way, it's.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks like Alwyn not realizing his own Leyline was a creature there. Doesn't know if there's anything he can do. So we are going to be getting Incubate token. We can flip the Incubate token, but we need to have at least one more thing. I mean, there's an Overlord of the Mistmoors in hand, so we're not...
This sir goes back to
Should have-
No. This is under Ghost Value.
No, that's
Oh,
under
okay.
Ghost Vacuum.
Yeah.
That's not in
keep it
play.
there. Well,
There's so many zones that are happening on the battlefield right now. Unfortunately, the card art playmat does not have zones on it so that we can have everything in the right zones for everything. But, oh, are we one short of hard casting Overlord of the Mistmoors now because of the Sunfall? We are.
Yeah, so we have to impending this.
We impending, we draw a card that leaves us the 2 mana available still so that we can actually flip over our Incubate token. And then we
We can't even trade.
we
with
can't even
this.
triple block.
Yeah, because we have to triple block because of the trample.
Yeah.
So we have to triple block.
We triple block, we eat up
guys,
we
Six
eat up
damage.
6 damage and take 1.
2, 4,
Yeah,
okay.
so we're pricing to triple blocking this
Well,
thing.
we could double block then, right? Because then we'll be at 1.
Yeah, we can't double block this thing. Go to 1. Oh,
Temp lockdown.
oh, we're dead. And
That 10 block down from in hand, it comes in handy, and it's gonna get rid of all
Yeah,
Alwyn's
I think
tokens.
that-
the top lockdown from like 10 turns ago comes in for the lethal.
All right, Casey gets game number 1 in this extremely elongated matchup here. Basically, the control style 5-color deck going up against the more grindy Orzhov mid-range deck that does wind up having a couple of surprises to it. And now both of our players gonna have 11.5 minutes left in order to figure out game number 2 and maybe 3.
Started with quite 11 minutes because like you just spend like a good like 2-3 minutes sideboarding and then shuffling.
I also don't know if they have a small time extension from that judge call that wound up happening from the season of the Burrow.
Yeah, they
And Kyle's probably aware of a time extension or something like that. So just in case that there are any sort of little extensions, we'll probably have that information when the time in the round gets called and if they decide to put the counter dice up there for that. But anyway, I think it was like 20 minutes ago when I called out that this temporary lockdown is probably going to wind up being the first thing that comes out in this sideboard matchup. I mean, I still stand by it, but what do you think after seeing him in the game?
No, the position was perfect for it to win the game, but I think post sideboarding, it has to come out.
Yeah.
I don't think it does enough in the matchup where it's warranted that it stay in the deck.
Let's keep it simple.
There's a better ways to get rid of
Anything else?
up the beanstalk. Like if you have Loran or any destroy evil kind of effects, those are much better at dealing with up the beanstalk, and it doubles as creature removal against this domain deck. So we'll see those come in place of the time lockdown for sure.
But meanwhile, on the side from Alwyn, you also have temporary lockdowns in your deck that weren't looking too hot against. Basically, everything Casey had was 3 mana or more besides the Fairy Dream Thieves.
So, Tom, listen, I have a radical idea.
All right, what is the radical idea?
We side in rest in peace.
You know, I'm not entirely sure if that's going to wind up working against the card that wants to have things in its graveyard for the scavengers, but then has
But the thing is, like,
Ketramose.
Rest in Peace turns off Overlord the Bearmark,
Uh-huh.
turns off Overlord Scavenger.
Mm-hmm.
It turns on Ketramose.
Yes.
It also turns off the ability for Ketramose to draw a card. Because in order for Ketramose to draw a card, cards has to be exiled from the graveyard. If
So
you don't have a graveyard,
if you have a replacement effect that exiles the card if it were to be put in the graveyard, then you don't wind up getting your Ketramose trigger.
exactly.
So Rest in Peace coming in.
But there's a few.
It's
That-
a radical idea.
I mean, it could work. That way it would wind up being something that completely shuts off one angle of attack entirely, which is the Urborg Scavenger Sire 7 Deaths plan, which is actually interesting because looking at like Casey's deck, we're thinking Orzhov Ketramose is going to be like a mid-range deck. It's going to be grindy, and that's exactly what it did. But it has a package inside of it that's basically Soul Flare.
Yeah, it's doing its best like Soul Flare cosplay.
And that's awesome. I mean, I know a couple of players who go to this store, they'll be really excited when I say the word or the name Soul Flare and having it available in standard. The flip side of that is Alwyn now has to kind of consider, like you said, the Rest in Peace plan is something that could wind up working against that style of deck, and it does shut off Ketramose, but if Casey sideboards out the Sires and is just like, oh, I'm just going to play with, like, you know, the Orzhov mid-range good stuff,
If I'm exiling from his
it gets rid of Overlord, but that's about it.
I mean, it still turned off Overlord Scavenger. And
Yeah, I'm thinking, like, maybe if he were to sideboard those out and bring in, like, his enchantment hate that we were talking about before.
yeah, but I think being able to turn off the ability for Ketramose to draw a card, put Owen ups a little bit in card advantage if he able to land like an early up the beanstalk.
I think early up the beanstalk is going to be very, very crucial here because we saw Alwyn trying to play like the draw go thing for a little while, and the fact that he had to deal with the axis of the double axis of Ketramose can't be destroyed, it needs to be exiled, but the rest of the things want to be in the graveyard anyway when they get destroyed. That was a little awkward where that Day of Judgment turned the Urborg Scavengers into like a double striking threat off of the Wandering Rescuer and everything, so Alwyn needing that up the beanstalk early to keep drawing the correct cards he needs for the specific board state is going to be crucial.
Yeah, and we'll be able to see what our players are bringing in here. See a couple of Raiden in Owen's hand. Those are crucial.
Yeah, those are pretty solid here.
Those are very crucial.
It doesn't get rid of Ketramose for a discount if we don't have Ketramose already online and attacking, but it will get rid of basically every other threat from Casey's side, as Casey is going to be taking a mulligan down to 6. We'll be on the draw, so not the worst thing in the world, but Alwyn's hand looks like it's 2 lands, a bunch of Raidens, and a bunch of Overlords.
So would you see?
Oh, is that a Terra Sunder as well?
I believe so. Yeah, that is a Terra Sunder. Oh, Owen's down to 6. I think we missed.
We missed a mulligan. Okay, so Alwyn's also on 6.
So that card's on the bottom.
Oh, does that mean that Casey is on 5?
Oh, sometimes you can desync the shuffling a little bit.
Oh yeah, just
Yeah.
staying on 6. Okay. We just had Alwyn resolving mulligan way faster. Casey is going to resolve a mulligan, it looks like.
Yeah, sometimes when you draw your.
Oh, no, Casey's on 5. Casey's on 5.
Casey is on 5. Okay. So this is going to be an interesting match where both of these really grindy deck have about 6 to about 10 minutes with the time extension to try to put a game together. Owen is on a must-win. Casey just need a draw.
You don't have to reveal. Oh.
So,
Yeah, so the Surveil is not an Explorer. You don't have to reveal that one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Alwyn's on a 1-lander.
Owen
I didn't want to go to 5.
doesn't want to go to 5. I mean, that's fair enough, right? Like, you're on the play. You don't get the actual card, and you really don't want to go to 5 in a must-win game.
Well, Overlord of the Baelmerk is going to wind up finding the Ketramose, so the entirety of Casey's plan is just face up in hand right here, and unfortunately for Alwyn, that means that with only 1 land and go yet again, that Casey's just going to have everything at his disposal.
So we found a second one, and I assume the third land is on top of the deck if we surveil and decide to put it there. Another land for Casey. Wind up in the bin. We can still have some time to catch up if the card Owen put back on top is a land, because that would let us play
Yeah.
Overlord the Hauntwoods and start catching up in mana a little bit.
Yeah, assuming that the land comes into play untapped, which is very, very crucial here. That it's the right color verge, and it does come into play tapped, but it is another surveil land, so see if Alwyn wants to keep that one on top or not. I mean, now we have Ride's End online, so we can always do that, but Up the Beanstalk is also a pretty solid draw here.
Yeah, we're not too worried with this Ryzen quite just yet because Ketramose is not online, like way far from being online.
Exercise that.
Here, exercise or Up the Beanstalk.
Draw card.
Lose 1 life.
So that's going to be one of the removal spells that's coming in from the sideboard here from Casey's style of deck. Exiling artifact, enchantment, or creature with power 4 or greater. So that's going to also be just a one-shot kill on the Overlords as well, because you can just choose to exile enchantment.
Yeah.
And this is exile removal. Yeah, it's sorcery speed, but it's going to work out great in a deck that wants to exile things, because this is 2 mana, destroy your Up the Beanstalk, draw a card with Ketramose in play.
It doesn't draw the card because it didn't get exiled.
Oh, it didn't get exiled from the grave. Oh, then
Because I won't
It
have
just
any
put
no
more
more
cards
exiles,
into
leave it
the
at 3.
exile zone for just
What-
turn on Ketramose.
where did Alwyn draw a card? Oh, lose a life off of then. Or what did Casey lose a life off of then?
Unless I'm
Oh, there was a Sulfur Falls, I think, that had to be tapped. Because there was a
Yeah.
revealed Pain Land on top. From the Surveil, we didn't have to reveal.
yeah. So here we can start eating stuff off of the grave. I think
Exile planes.
exile a plane. Doesn't want to exile that Ketramose in the yard to give some keywords.
One.
We give Menace, we give Lifelink. Is all
Dude,
split up
it's such a
touch?
name.
Menace and
Indestructible,
Lifelink.
yes.
I don't think Urborg Scavengers can get indestructible.
Sounds good.
Oh, it's not like Soul Flare where you just get everything.
Effects, go for it.
I mean, in theory, Soulflayer can't also get Menace.
No, it does get indestructible.
Oh, it does. Look at that. Urborg Scavengers could be indestructible.
So I'm surprised he didn't take the Ketramose. Just like play around removal. Like
Oh.
play around something like a Day of Judgment.
We do end up having the ability to exile the Ketramose on our next turn as well. So we can still give it all of these keywords if we so choose to. Maybe just making Alwyn kind of flinch and we have a second Urborg Scavengers in hand. That would probably be a follow-up here. Alwyn did wind up playing an Overlord with the Hauntwoods on his previous turn. Now the mana issues look a lot better because we have the ability to make these everywhere token. We have the land fixing for our domain, and we have a replacement of the Beanstalk too. So Alwyn now at 4 mana available, potentially at least 1 Ride's End in hand that we know of.
I believe he has 2. We might see both get fire off here.
Yeah, I guess it depends what we wind up wanting to exile, because the Overlord of the Baelmerk's still impending. Swinging him
He's
with
got
this
a double
Urborg
striker, right?
Scavengers, if we get him to exile the Ketramose, this is probably going to be a Ride's End.
But I won't. I'm gonna.
No?
Oh, just playing around right then.
That's 4, 5, 6.
Refuse to exile that Ketramose in the graveyard. Maybe Casey have
I will
the
tap
Season
one
of the Burrow in hand? That he just want to keep that Ketramose in grave to reanimate in case Alwyn casts something.
Maybe. All right, so we did wind up losing a life drawing a card off of Ketramose because of the Urborg Scavengers, and this is going to be Ride's End number 1 being cast here.
Because it's your
Wait,
turn,
can you
right?
pull up
Oh my
Ketramose
God,
for me?
that's so
Because
busted.
Casey
That's
been
so
drawing
busted.
card when stuff get exiled.
Yeah, Alwyn just looking at this guy saying, that's so busted, it's on your turns, you get to draw a card for my removal spell.
Can you pull up Ketramose for me?
Sure.
Because
Play Overlord.
Oh, this should be a 2. Is that okay with you?
or the battlefield. Okay, trigger from the battlefield.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought. With the put one from graveyards and or the battlefield. So drawing the card losing a life was off the Beanstalk. Because the exercise exiles it.
Okay, so we found a sire
Bring back
in
Ketramose.
grave. Put back Ketramose from
Interesting.
the Baelmerk trigger, I guess.
Yeah, we have
Yeah,
double
the second
Baelmerks.
Baelmerk.
One's coming off of impending this turn, and the other one is now a fresh 5. Shieldred.
Oh, takesy backsies.
Wanna do that?
Casey just wants to show everybody what he's got.
I know what's coming next.
Casey's like,
Pretty sure you have it.
I'm pretty sure he has a Sunfall, so I don't know if I want to
Exile Fairy Dream Thief.
exile Fairy Dream Thief. That will wind up drawing 2 card off of Ketramose.
3 mana, lose 2 life,
two.
divinations.
Yeah,
It's
that's-
like, I guess technically like Read the Bones or whatever it is. Sign in Blood, but 1 extra mana. Painful Truths.
Yeah, either way, it's pretty sweet to me. This deck is sweet. I think we kind of price into Sunfall here.
We're definitely pricing to getting rid of stuff on the battlefield because there's currently a 5/5 and potentially a 4/4 lifelink menace swinging in next turn. Because we know we can get at least one trigger off of swinging with the Overlord of the Baelmerk.
Yep. So, what is that? Oh, that's Day of Judgment.
Okay,
It's
so
a pretty artifact.
Day of Judgment gets rid of all of the non-Ketramose things, so that means that we're not going to wind up having the Ketramose come off of not being able to attack or anything like that for a little while. It looks like.
Yeah, and just stem the bleeding, but can't quite see how Alwyn is trying to win this game. Scavenger.
Okay,
here?
we had a backup Scavenger, so.
This is Sire of 7 Deaths in the graveyard.
This should be at 6.
But take Alwyn Day of Judgment instead.
That's going to trigger Ketramose.
Draw a card, lose a life, gain 2 life.
Trigger. So lose 1 but gain 2 off of shoulder. So gain 1 and draw a card.
Goes back up to 15. 15 all being the life totals right now. And then it looks like passing the turn back over to Alwyn with...
Turn counter.
Oh, we are in turns. All right. So Alwyn needs to do a lot of heavy lifting if they want to try to win this game and force the draw. Meanwhile, on Casey's side, already being up 1 game, Casey just has to survive, and he wins the round. Doesn't even have to win, even though it's looking really good right now for Casey.
He just needs to not die. And as we know, like this domain doesn't kill you very quick.
No, but we are tapping 5, so there's the Sunfall.
So draw a card, lose 2 from the casting the Sunfall.
So we get a 3/3 incubate token.
Yeah, and the Overlord come off impending here.
Enter turn 3.
So turn 3. Casey.
We don't even have our incubate token. Alwyn's just playing for the draw. But Alwyn can't even do anything without that the incubate token.
A
right.
replacement Ketramose.
That's a 3rd Ketramose.
That's a lot of Ketramose.
That's a flock of Ketramese.
Enter combat.
Can you say it like that?
Ketramese?
I'll exile catch him.
When you,
So
when you
that-
Ketramoses?
I think Ketramoses.
Ketramoxin.
Card 2.
What's that thing that people say for octopus? Oh, is it just
Octopi?
Octo-
Ketrami?
Ketramose?
That sounds like it would be like the accurate version of it. Yeah, we had Leyline Binding though on the Ketramai. But we still have Lord Skitter and a rat. It's turn 4, and Alwyn has to win this turn. This is not going to happen.
The rat can't block. So if he have Zur,
It has to be sure, because I don't think otherwise I
the
got
rat
time to,
can't
like,
block.
do
If he have
anything
Zur,
else.
he might be able to pull it off.
But we still have
He has 7
14.
mana.
Go to my
There's
turn.
2 Leyline Binding in play.
Okay, so our plan is then going to be Zur, animate, swing
Yeah.
to force the draw. And I think Alwyn even said it has to be Zur off the top. So knock the top card, Alwyn. What do you got? Zur, flip
Zur.
it. Looked like a land. Oh, he's looking at graveyard. Looking at the sky. Doesn't bode well for Alwyn trying to force a draw here.
Maybe he's doing the Queen's Gambit thing where you look up ceiling.
You just see magic cards sifting around over there. There's leyline bindings rearranging themselves and swinging in and looking at the 2 open mana and deciding what get lost type cards are going to come out.
Yeah, but I think the only line to win the game is Zur, animate,
Attack.
attack.
And everything has to connect.
Yeah, and everything needs to resolve and everything needs to connect. Thinking here. So it's
Alwyn
not Zur. We know it's
in the
not Zur.
tank.
What could it be that Alwyn is thinking so hard about?
Unless you wind up having like
You wouldn't believe this shit.
if you have like a herd migration and like bitter reunion.
Let me think.
I mean, you do have red mana, herd migration. Because
That's not a
it's funny you say that because like Domain used to play some amount of what's that red? 3-mana
Imodane's
creature?
Recruiter.
Yeah, Imodane's Recruiter in the
Oh, there's an
sideboard.
Atraxa in hand.
Yeah, but that's,
I'll play land for turn.
do it.
So he plays land.
Okay.
So Atraxa would be 7, right? 1, 2, 3. I can't see all of Alwyn's lands. Okay, 1, 2. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Only loses at 2 mana. So we could even cast Azure if
This
we
is
find it.
9 mana Fallen. I would have 9 mana.
So he can like Atraxa, see if he finds the Zer, but then Casey's going to win.
Think that there's anything else I can do. Do it like that.
It had to be exactly Zer, and I don't think Alwyn has it.
I don't see another line of play that.
Oh, yeah, and the match has gone so long, it looked like our camera unfortunately died.
Yeah, I think we just lost the camera.
But at this point in time, Alwyn has no way to wind up winning the game. So what's going to wind up happening is it's going to be Casey Vivid is going to wind up taking this one 1-0.
I'm gonna see what can
It's
happen.
the
Top 3
the way it goes in standard these days. A lot of these decks are really grindy.
Yeah.
Like,
Not like it matters.
I mean,
No,
last
I
week
don't
I
think,
played
you know,
a match that I only got to play one
Lucky enough, I did draw the sword.
because I was playing blue-white control.
Now, Alwyn just kind of looking at the still got all the see what he would have drawn here, but it looks like there's nothing there. So it's going to be Casey Vivid taking the first round of standard here on Thursday.